Hey everyone! You see, the cat is ready. I might be ready, who knows? But Jack is here to guide us through the next map. Oh, he's angry now. I was holding in too much. So, welcome to the stream. And if you like my nice little cat, he even got a slight appearance in our video game lately. Look, isn't he lovely? Well, enough cat talk, and let's get on with the actual plan of the evening. We are here to do a little bit of sewer mapping in Campaign Cartographer, and Sue created this wonderful new style for us, the Sinister Sewers style, which is this month's annual. So let us get on with it. Let me fire up Campaign Cartographer, as we all are used to see. And if you remember last time I did a stream, I made this nice little peaceful mall. Those of you who were here or have watched the video after might remember this one. And we had this, quiet little mall. Nothing weird at all happening here. Just your standard zombies and tentacles showing up from somewhere. So I was kind of thinking, well, it is time to see where did these guys come from. Obviously they didn't appear out of nowhere. So, well, they probably come from down below. And that's what Sue has made available for us now with her new style. So let me just make a nice little entrance. Door. No, sorry, it's up and down. And this is inside the garage, so it's probably just a little metal trapdoor. Let's just slam this down. Finished. It's on top of the tentacle. That didn't look right. Let's get it down where it belongs. There we go. A nice little trapdoor. And where do that trapdoor lead? Well, I guess I've already spoiled the surprise. Obviously, it's going to lead to some beautiful, serene forest full of cats frolicking. So, let's go ahead and go there. But remember this trapdoor. We are coming back to it a little bit later. I'm just gonna save this map, and I'm gonna start a new map. In the dungeon style. Oh, Wilhelm is commenting about the trapdoor shadow. Yeah, you're right. That's absolutely horrible. Now I need to fix it. You shouldn't point it out to me. Then I haven't noticed and didn't need to fix it. But obviously this is a trapdoor and it's not going to the symbols flat by default. So let me just fix that for you. Symbols flat. Okay. Happy now, Bill? Hope so. You can't have me fixing this map all day. Now I'm seeing shadows everywhere that needs fixing. Okay, I'm leaving them for now. Saving the map. And let's try again. New drawing wizard. And we are going to make a dungeon map. And the Sinister Sewers is the new style, the 2024 March annual. So I'm just jumping into that one. And just a little bit of notice, there were some errors and some other improvements that needed to be done to the file, so I'm actually testing out the latest version of the style right now. I have some test files which are not made available for download yet. They will be made available in the coming days after this stream, and if I find anything else, I'll fix it at the same time. So if you find that something doesn't work quite the same in your own map, it's just because of that, so don't worry. So I'm gonna start it up, and we don't have time for a huge map now. Of course, this is the map in the background I'm referring to, of course, is a modern map in a modern city, so usually there would be huge sewer system beneath it. I'm not intending to mapping the entire city sewers right now. So I'm just going for 200 by 160. I think that's probably fine. And one nice thing about this map is that if you, instead of using the default dirt background, goes for a solid black background, we can get some nice effects later, which I will show you. And I see Rodriguez 11,000 asks how big a map one can do, and yeah, Sue already responded. You can do a map any size you want. There are some restrictions that will cause problems if you go to something just plain nuts, but if you want to make a map 10,000 large, not a problem. I think 100,000 is also going to be quite fine, but if you start going up into millions and several of millions, you are actually going to get a little bit of issues, technical issues, connected to the way computers work with numbers, to be exact. So I'm not going to go into more detail than that, but you can make a pretty big map. So yeah, let me go with the solid black. And yeah, I only need one level for this one. I actually have another level. It's the map in the background right now. So I'm basically making a 2-level map, but since I already have the second level, I'm not going to make this one into multiple levels. So let me just give it a name. I have the Sewers of Sue. There we go, and of course, when I do it in all black, it kind of looks a little bit weird and boring out of the box. But that's fine. I'm going to actually put stuff in there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And let's just figure out how do we want to start with this map. Well, I like to start by just plopping down the main sewer channels first and working my way around those. But before I'm starting, I'm gonna change the snap grid. The default snap grid for this map is 5'4" snaps. I find that a little bit too much in the beginning. I might need it later or for more detailed work, but I actually like to start with 5'1" snap. That's not an option in this setup right now. I can easily make a new one. New, and I'm gonna call it 5'1" snap. And for those of you who are not familiar with the grid and snap setting in Campaign Cartograph, what does this actually mean? Well, the grid this isn't a visible grid in the map, but it's just a drawing grid that helps me place elements correctly. And if I set the spacing to 5 foot, it means that the main grid is 5 foot up here, and the snap divisions basically divides the grid into smaller sections, invisible sections. The main grid section can be shown by clicking the grid button down here. The smaller snap divisions are not shown at all, but they allow you to place things more precisely or more smaller increments, basically. So let's just have a look at these grids. I'm gonna set this one up with 1 snap, and I can just turn on the grid immediately, and we can see the grid dots. Between each dot is 5 feet. And now with 1 snap, it means that the grid is only going to snap to every single dot, but not in between. Look at me drawing a square, for example. Just gonna pull this up. You can already see it now. See how my cursor jumps from spot to spot. And I can only place it with a black background. That's not very visible. Let's make it red. So I can only draw. If I instead, and to get this dialog, I just right click the snap button. If I use 5 foot grid 2 snap instead, okay, you can now see that my cursor, in addition to jumping to the dots, jump to the middle points between the dots. I now have 2 snaps, so there are 2 spacings. If I go for 4 snaps, you can now see I can jump much more precisely. It's 4 snaps, so 1.25 for each. But I'm gonna start out working with 1 snap. So just get that up and running and just hide the grid. You don't have to have the grid visible to use the snapping, it's just sometimes nice. So, where are we going to start? Well, let's just see where we can go. I don't have a map planned out for tonight, so let's just see where we end up. But we can start with a nice little section in the middle, I think. So let's just plop that down. And let's draw some drains. These drains are connecting symbols. Connecting symbols means that you don't place each individual piece, but you just click to place the start, and you can drag, and you can see the preview line shows where it will be drawn. Now, because of the angle of this center junction, I should probably draw them straight out, at least for a little bit, and then you can see I can actually just draw them like that. And the Campaign Cartographer handles the orientation for me just fine. Just make sure when you place the first piece, you can see one typical issue you might have. If you look at my preview, you might think that, oh, now it looks like it's going to start in the perfect position, right? It's aligned, it's perfect. I start and I draw it, and it's a hole. Why? Well, let's just go back and do the same again. Look where my mouse crosshair are located. You can see that the crosshairs are located at the opposite edge, and this is where I'm starting drawing. This previous symbol is just a little bit of showing the symbols really in when you are drawing with connecting symbols. So make sure that the crosshair is actually placed here at the end where you want to start the drawing. It doesn't matter that the preview is overlapping like this. Just make sure to start it there, and you can see it works out just fine. And the same here, down here, and down here. And of course, we maybe want some more tunnels. So yeah, let's just draw one more tunnel across the map. And, well, maybe I just want a T-junction. Let me make a T-junction. So, if I just drop this here now, it's going to look ugly, obviously. But that's what we have the T-junction for. Let me just pick up this one, put it in the correct orientation, plop it down, finished, and I'm done. If I wanted to do some extra work, I could delete the additional symbols behind here. After all, I did a little bit of overlap, but that does not really matter. So here we have the visitor coming back. Yes. Maybe he's smelling the sewer rats. Time for a little hunting trip or something. I don't think this boy have seen a rat in his entire life, so he does not know what they're for. Okay, so this is kind of my basic layout for the map. And I have the sewer channels. But these are the channels where the fluid will run. This is not the walkways. So now the time is to plan a little bit for the walkways, the areas down in the sewer where you can actually run around, work, do whatever you want to do in the sewers, fight zombies, pet cats. Yeah, you get the idea. So to do that, we have these outer walls. These walls are meant to be used as outer walls, or at least one of the walls you can use as outer walls. And let's just pick up this, and these are also connecting symbols. So I can now decide kind of, do I want to have large areas, walkways, or do I want them to be really narrow? Sorry. So I think I'm gonna use them a little bit wide, and actually I can use my crosshairs here because these are kind of showing me the distance. So let me just start here, go here, I can go here, and yeah, nice little walls. Again, don't be worried about the initial orientation. Yeah, I should draw that the other way around. Starting down here. Oops. And I picked the wrong tool. The point is, it aligns the direction of the symbol based on the direction you actually draw the lines. Did I? Yeah. I accidentally changed the scale of the symbols. You can see what happened right here. I suddenly see a lot of gaps, and I was seeing something did not go right. And I just right-clicked to bring up the symbol parameters dialog, and you can see I accidentally changed the scaling. Changing the scaling is a bit easy to do accidentally, because if I just I can just set it back first, set normal. But if I have a symbol on my cursor, hold on the control key and drag, I rescale the symbol. So sometimes you can be a bit rescale them by accident. So I'm just going to, yeah, and what I was pointing out was that because the way connecting symbols work, calculating the next symbol and the placement, it doesn't work too well when the scale changes. It's one of the limitations for connecting symbols. You kind of have to use the original scale they were made in. So again, let me go back. I can check. Yeah, it's the correct scale. But if you see that kind of behavior, it's probably due to the scale. So there we go. All fixed. And lines here. Maybe I did the same mistake. I drew them the wrong way around. Usually with connecting symbols, that's not that big of a deal, but these symbols are designed in particular to be have one side out and one side in. Andrew asks if I can change the default scale of the map to change the scale of the connecting symbols. I guess you're thinking of changing the scale in the default symbol scale here in drawing presets. No, that does not really do anything, or, well, it does. If I change it, I will change the scale of connecting symbols, but then I will get into the same issues. So I have to simply not do that. You need the symbols to be prepared for in scale. So if you need a different scale, you should have the symbols prepared, scale the symbols themselves before you start, basically. Let's see, I can get into a little bit of trouble here. This is the kind of trouble you can get into a little bit as well with connecting symbols. You can see that I started by making a line at starting to drawing a line at an angle, and suddenly I'm struggling to get a straight line. Why is that? If you ever observe that, what's the problem here? Well, the problem is more due to plain trigonometry, really. Because if you have been working with triangles in math, you know one thing, that if you have a pretty normal triangle, the length of the hypotenuse is going to be rather strange in all cases because of the way things are calculated. And these symbols, they are found in normal pretty lengths, but these normal pretty lengths, they are not really made for when you count at an angle, because the distance between 2 points at an angle is not going to be a nice whole number. That's just how math works. So let me just try something I actually haven't thought about. Maybe you soon know if this is actually working this way, if I just mirror the symbols. Does this work? Or will this break the connecting symbols? I actually don't know. I'm trying this live on stream just to see if this works or not. It might just be horrible. Yeah. It did not work. I think I found a little bug. Because drawing with mirrored symbols seems to have conveniently crashed my map. Okay. That was not planned for. Okay. Let's not repeat that. Let's go for the autosave drawing then. And save it on top of my map. There we go. Autosave is always nice to have if something bad happens. So let me just draw the wall again. And I'll make sure that the correct person knows about crashing. So that did not work. So what are we going to do then? Well, there are several ways to actually fix things. Let's stop using snaps, because one of the problem is I'm trying to fit this to a snap grid. So let me stop using snaps. This means that I need to be a little bit, at least for this first section, I need to plan a little bit by using my eye. But I do have 2 of set eyes, I think. So I'm gonna place the first point here by eye. Then I'm gonna turn on ortho. Ortho means that you can only move vertical or horizontal, which helps me, instead of using snaps, it helps me a bit getting this one correct, at least somewhat correct. And there we go. It's absolutely more than good enough, but this serves as a point that if you trust too much in tools that are specified and going to jump on precise positions like the snap tools, there are some situations they are not really suited, and that's what happened right now, simply because of the connecting symbols are basically pre-drawn symbols at different lengths. You can see this first one is 5 foot long. It says in the square brackets. The second one is 10 foot, a 15 foot, and a 20 foot. And when I made that at an angle, I forced Campaign Cartographer to use those shapes to draw the distance I wanted. But it's only possible to draw a distance that fits, that can be made up by using these lengths in one way or another. And as I just said, for triangles, well, you get a little bit into problems with those. It's just pure math. If you've done a little bit of maths, you know that triangles can be fun. So let's just continue on. I'm gonna turn off ortho, and notice I'm usually starting a little bit outside as well, because I don't want the wall to looks like it has a cut-off point at the end. So again, just gonna use my eye for this one. Probably just going to do it. Yeah, that was bad. I went too far there. Careful with those placements, those walls. And yeah, I made the wrong direction again. I'm really bad at this, ain't I? Oh well. You can console yourself that at least you have been seeing my cat today. So, seeing me fumble a bit, it's just how it is. course, if you want to avoid all kinds of problems like this, you could just use the basically cardinal directions, up, down, left, right, and just avoid angles. I like to often throw in some angles because it feels a little bit, it looks a little bit more natural, not having everything in straight lines, so on. But okay, this is the basic shape, and I now have a central channel, and I have these outer walls. But what I now need is some kind of flooring. And flooring we have here, just right click the floor button, and we have different kinds of floors. So what should we go with? Maybe we should just, yeah, we can just do the grey concrete. Maybe a bit boring, but it's also fitting very well with the rest of the map. I'm just going to start outside here, and I'm going to make sure I draw it so it's under the walls a little bit. I don't have any ends sticking out anywhere. I'm not turning on the snap grid again right now, simply because I drew these outer walls without using snap. So I don't think that having the snap grid on while drawing the floor now would help me, but I don't really need the snap grid. It's a really simple shape anyway. There we go. We have a nice little floor. I think Sue just indicated that there should be another floor, a stone slab floor, but I do not have that, so I guess that's another thing we need to fix for the install. But we can stick with the concrete for now. Now we can see that things are beginning to form up, take a little bit of shape. And except for the problems I had with the connecting tools, so the connecting symbols, this was quite easy to do. They haven't been hard, haven't been any difficult tasks. And again, if I'd stuck to just straight lines, I wouldn't have had that problem at all. But let's go on. But right now, the background outside looks pretty boring. Black, and just why didn't I want that dirt fill? You remember from the new map wizard, I intentionally picked the black instead of the default dirt fill. Well, the secret lies in this drawing tool right here, the terrain default tool. Let me use this boring looking gray tool, and I'm gonna draw a shape a little bit outside. This. Make sure to draw it outside the map on all sides. There's an edge fade effect on this. This is why you want to draw it outside, otherwise you're gonna notice that on the map where it ends. And fine. Just keeping a little bit of a distance all the way. Just to not go into that one. And like this. You see, a beautiful grey shape. I love this grey basic clean shapes. Ooh, happened there? This is scary. So, I just drew a basic grey shape and now it's filled with stone. Are you trying to make my life difficult here or something? Forget I asked. I know you're trying to make my life difficult. Well, now, the secret here is that this is done all through sheet effects. Instead of having a fill on the actual drawing tool, if I go in to the sheet effects list and I find this background texture, this is what the tool draws on. That was another one of the small bugs which will be fixed in the upcoming update to this style. The drawing tool was not drawing on this sheet, but you can see that there are a couple of nice effects. It's the displace effect to provide a little bit of jagged edges. There is an edge fade to fade the edge, and there is the texture overblend, which basically takes an existing texture and put it on that solid surface. I'm not going to go through all the settings here, but basically you can change how small or how large it is by changing the scale here. You can also rotate it if you need to. So if you try this with your own fills, we can actually just do that quickly. I'm just gonna keep Sewers texture overblend, and I'm gonna add a new one. And let's see what we can do. I'm going into the Campaign Cartographer data directory and find some tiles, and let's just find something. Yeah, from the ancient tombs perhaps. I can put some bricks. I like bricks. So just turn off Sewers temporarily and do an apply. You can see now it's using that brick texture, but everything is way too large. So I can now go in and scale it to perhaps 0.1 units. Yeah, that looks better, but not good. You might remember that Sue had hers at 0.01 units, which might be the way to go. So this can be used with any fill. I'm not going to use this now, I'm just going to use the one Sue provided. Sue has also set up the dirt by default. If I just activate the other one, I can apply if I want a dirt edge instead. But my mind is not that dirty right now, so I'm just going for a nice stone fill. Okay, so there we go. And I like the way Sewers set up this effect because it kind of gives us the impression that there are some infinite depths hiding behind these things. And I now have the basic map up and running. Let me start by filling these channels. And we have a tool here, different water tools. What kind of water should we go for? The green water? Yeah, I like green water. So again, I prefer to start a little bit outside. And if you want, you can turn back on snap at this point, but I think I'm just going to just leave it. And I'm gonna click a few points around this corner to make a nice corner. This is a smooth tool, so you can actually use the smoothness of the tool to go around the corner, but I like to usually work a little bit, have a little bit more control. And since this is basically a curved surface, the the closer you put it to the wall, the more full the channel will appear to be. I'm just going to do it a little bit by hand. By being a little bit uneven, you also give the impression that maybe the walls and the structure itself is a little bit uneven. And remember, if you place a wrong point, like I did twice, you can just hit the delete key to remove the last point placed. And let's just see. And remember, we can also use the node editing tools to move if I see that any node is not quite nice. So yeah, Sewers, if you want to save that, pick a course of bricks and stick to it. That's a bit hard when I zoom as far out as I did. But remember, you don't have to be zoomed out while working. I just decided I wanted to just do the entire thing in one go like this. But I can easily, while working with this, zoom out and in and move and plan the map while I'm in the middle of drawing. It's nothing preventing me from doing that. I can zoom in now, for example, for the final section, and just do the final section a little bit more zoomed in. Just like this. And because these are smooth parts, that's why I did draw them a little bit away. You can see here that maybe I didn't go far enough away here, so it kind of made a weird shape. So let me just use the node editing tool, plus click a point along here, and just drag and add some new nodes, and voila, there we go. We have some nice and healthy green sewer water. So as you can see now, the style works very easy to do these kinds of things. I don't think I have been forced and needed to think about my sheets once. Everything just clicks into place. Let me put a way back up. You remember this map was, after all, part of the warehouse above. So let me go to up and down. I don't know where that command came from. I'm not going to go looking too far into that issue. Probably just a one-timer command that was halfway typed or something like that. So I'm just gonna ignore it unless it happens again. Didn't. And I'm just going to pick, do we want a ladder or some rungs? Well, I think rungs looks a little bit more modern, and since it's a modern map up above, let me I think I'm just gonna go to the snap grid again. Okay, and I'm just going to place, I did not turn on snap. Doesn't help picking a snap grid if you don't turn on snap. So let's just place these along. Yeah, so noticed, I saw it myself as well, it turned off the effects. So let me just turn them back on. And we have some rungs to get back up to the warehouse. And of course, one of the main things with this map was that we tried to explore where the tentacles came from, right? So I guess they came from down here. Let's splosh in some nice little tentacles. Oh, it picks a random symbol, but it managed to pick couple of very similar symbols. Doesn't really matter that much. There we go, and this is obviously where the tentacles came from. Pushing their way up through the floor, under that truck, under that refuse bin. Maybe we have some cubes down here as well. Hungry to eat anything that has to comes down here looking for where the issues come from. Now we are starting to get actually a nice little battle map where we can have a little battle for our players. I also found that around these tentacles, I actually like to just go in and pick the scum and just draw without snap on little circle around the tentacles. Just make sure to not draw it on top of the walls. And reload this one. And we get a little nice miscoloring where the tentacles arise, where they have basically been mixing the water and bringing up all the junk from the bottom or something like that. Gives a little bit of extra view. And let's see what more we can do. I mean, we did have zombies coming around, so maybe we should find the source of the zombies as well. Yeah, we have this nice little collapsed wall, which we can rotate, and yeah, I think we can just place it right there. And obviously now the zombies has an entry point from whatever hides beyond. I'm not going to map what's beyond here. Maybe this is, the wall is collapsing, it leads into a tunnel, which leads down to a deeper dungeon, further down into the dungeon complex. So we have another level behind this, which we can map with in another style, but not today. Let me play some zombies as well. Since I have those in the warehouse upstairs, I'm going to actually load a symbol catalog from the dungeons. DD3 color, creatures. This is where I got my zombies last time, so I'm just going to use the same zombies. And there are some nice little zombies coming down here. And they probably found the entryway. And yeah. So I don't know. Are these zombies in league with the tentacles? Are they enemies of the tentacles? Is this tentacles basically helping the zombies over to the other side, like some kind of automated bridge or lifting service or something like that? Maybe. I think only a fantasy sets the limits. So now we are far from done, but we have at least started getting something here. Maybe we could add a little bit of interesting things. I think in the door category there are some arches. Now, I did draw the sizes of these corridors by eye, so these arches are unlikely to fit precisely. I'm just going to scale them a little bit. And one trick you might want to use, it might not always work, but because one problem is, if I scale this one like this, and this one like this, you can sometimes feel that the stones are a bit too different in size. So let me drop this one. Actually, I'm gonna drop this one as well. This doesn't always look good. It depends on the amount you're stretching. But if I pick up one of them and I do an independent X and Y stretching, do 5 for example. That was the wrong one. This should be 1. The X should be 1.5. I'm only stretching it in one direction, meaning that it at least will have the exact same width in all places. Too much. Of course, a little bit of a trial here to make this looking good. But we can do something like this. And we can drop another one here. Again, it's a slightly larger one. This is the disadvantage of drawing too much by eye. I did draw a lot of these by eye instead of using the snap grid. I placed all the ducts themselves in the snap grid, but I didn't place the wall, so it means I need to work a little bit. But you can see Camp and Cartographer has the tools to do these kinds of things, so as long as you're willing to just do the little bit extra work it requires, it can actually turn out to be a much better map in the end if you don't absolutely insist on sticking to the grid. I know that sticking to the grid works best for a battle map because it's easier to have a clear indication what is the square the player is standing on. I get that, but as a map, I've never liked these very squarish battle maps. I think they are annoying. I like when you get a little bit of different sizing and things like this map with angled corridors. Yes, there will always be a lot of weird grid squares. We can see that just by throw on a grid. Let me draw a hexo square overlay with a grid spacing of 5 feet without labels. And yeah, I should probably make sure to actually be on the right sheets and everything for that one, and have I think a white grid color is nice. Hexo square overlay 5 without labels. I don't need to change my snap grid, and I want a square grid, not a hex grid. Let's apply that one. Now, I probably want some effects and something to fade out this grid a little bit. It looks a little bit ugly right now, but my main idea wasn't to show you how to use a grid, but just we can see now that squares like this one, is the player standing on safe? Yeah, probably. What about this square? Can you stand in this square? There's a little bit, but not much. This square, can you stand on an edge here without falling down? There's a lot of questions arising from a battle map if you do it like this. Sometimes I like to have those kind of questions. It can make for a more dynamic battle, but it's also more uncertainty for the players, what's possible and what's not. So I just drop that grid. Don't need it for now. Let's just hide it. So as we are approaching an end, I think I'm just gonna call it a quit for the map itself here now. I'm gonna demonstrate a few more things before I quit the stream. But there's a lot of more things, of course, you can do with this map. Like you can see here in my symbol catalog, you can put in some grills. I can just put in one of them at least, just to demonstrate. A bit to 1.16 maybe. What? Yeah. the grid is drawn the other way from the arch. You can see that in the symbol catalog, so it's actually 1, and yeah, let's just see how 1, 1 works. I think I actually want to reduce the y by 0.25 maybe, and turn on snap again, and I can make a nice little grill like that. And the other symbols here, I don't remember exact catalogs. You have some rocks you can just plop about. You have a nice little fireplace. Maybe people have been living down here. A fireplace. And there used to live some people down here, but they are now just skin and bone minus the skin. Maybe you had a battle here as well. So there's a lot of symbols you can play around with. There are more vegetation, plants you can throw out. Carnivorous plants, don't go over here, dangerous. Yeah, the creatures we already covered. And yeah. So there's a lot of things, and you can use symbols from other styles as well. Most of the symbols from Sue's own styles works quite nicely with these maps. She have a rather consistent drawing style, so you can use things from Creepy Crypts and other kinds of maps. So let's just call this one done for now. So I just want to handle one question I got in the chat. Somebody was asking about the second drain sheet. There's 2 drain sheets here, symbol drain and symbol drain 2. These are also been renamed in a new template. But the idea with these is that you can basically draw multi-level sewers if you want that. So if I want to draw a drain on the second sheet, just go down here and do it. I can go to the drains, grab my connecting symbols, and I have my drains here. So I want a drain that crosses over this drain. Maybe it won't work too well since I've already drawn walls and stuff like here. But if I change to the drain 2 sheets manually before placing, it will use these. And the reason for that is that if we look into the symbols themselves, any of these really, I can see that these are set to go on a sheet called symbols drain asterisk. That means that if my current sheet is any random sheet, it will pick the one with the matching name, symbols drain. But if my current sheet is one that starts with the same words, because the asterisk, then it will just stay on that sheet. So if I have symbols low selected, it will go to symbols drain. If I have symbols flat selected, it will go to symbols drain. But if I have symbols drain 2 selected, it will still go to symbols drain 2. So this allows me to manually override. And the idea here is that you can put a drain, and I can draw one of these drains. Say there is a multi-level drain here, and I think I'm just gonna start outside actually. Start outside and go outside like this. And what you basically get here is you can get a second level. Now, a few things that you can immediately notice here. First of all, the water goes above both of them, which will be weird in my case here. And the walls goes on top. If this was an open area, I might not have walls here at all, and this will work out just fine, but maybe I can just go in and let us manipulate a little bit. Symbols drain 2. Well, okay. Part of the problems here was the walls. They are on these outer walls are found on the symbols flat sheet. Symbols flat. There we go. So if I take symbols drain and move it down like that, now have a second layer that crosses over the first one, and can be a second layer of sewer. I'm not going to go too much into the details here. I should probably maybe draw it. It could have its own walls and own things like that, and maybe it could meet with another wall, another corridor from the lower level sewer, and then cross over, and then have its own corridors further on. A lot of ways you can use this, but this shows how you can draw two sets on top of each other. And if I want to fill it with water, I actually then need another water sheet. So let me go in, let me take this water sheet. I want to add a new sheet. Let's call it water 2. And I'm gonna move that one down to symbol drain 2. I'm going to here select all the effects, hit the copy button, back to the new sheet, and the paste. And I just pasted the same effects, which was on the other water sheet. Apply. Okay. And I can now draw some water. Let me just pick some nice little water. So I got a question from Pat Macy, if there's a ladder down from above. Yes, I put in one earlier. Give me a few seconds or a minute or so, and I can zoom into it. I'm just gonna finish this second level corridor. Or if you wanted, maybe you actually wanted a ladder right here as well. I can put in one here. Let me use yellow. And let's just fill this second one nicely up. I want to add more node like this. And let's just redraw it, and voila! I have a second sheet with a second fluid going around, and maybe this is an elevated thing, so we could put in, maybe there's a ladder here that can be used to climb up. You can place it right there, and you can now just climb up this ladder up to this upper layer. Maybe since it's an upper layer, I should go in. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I thought the ladder was a little bit small. Somehow I got my scale changed again. Yeah. Let's get this one. This looks actually better, much better. I thought it was a little bit small. There we go. We now have a nice little ladder where you can climb up to the upper level if you want to. So yeah, I think that's quite a bit. So then I think we can just do the final touches. First of all, I'm allergic to having things stick out like this. This is because of the screen. I think we've explained the screens in a lot of videos. I'm not gonna go into explanation now since we are running long. But the quick fix is just to delete the old screen with the command color del. You have to type that on the command line. Just type it, hit enter. It asks for a sheet name to delete from, suggests screen by default, which is what you want, so hit enter again. And it deletes the old screen, making everything looks horrible. Then you do the next command, color auto, and enter, and it makes a new screen for you, covering up all those bits. You could do color auto without using color del first, because the new screen would be slightly larger than the old one anyway to cover up the extra pieces sticking out. The only time you really need kind of to use color del first is if the old screen is way too large and you want it to be smaller. But the screen is mostly invisible since it's a white polygon outside the map anyway, so you might not really care at all. So you can just run color auto and just be happy with it without deleting anything. So that leaves just one final piece of the puzzle. We need to connect these two maps. How can we do that? Well, multiple ways. We can make a navigation bar. Let me do that. A very, very simple text navigation bar. So I'm just going to do on probably on the map border is fine. And I'm just going to draw a polygon. And let's just put in some text. Maybe first a header text. Let's call it this place. And yeah, go the medieval, probably fine. And outline for the map. Obviously, this disappeared because I didn't change the color first. That's something I almost always do, but change properties. E for prior to select the prior entity, do it, and let's just pick, let's just do white text. Now, and there's one more reason it disappeared, obviously, and that's the sheet order, because I put my polygon on the map border and the text is below it. Let's just throw the text down for my example here. We have Sewers Place, and in Sewers Place there are two locations. It is the mall and the sewers. These are the two maps in my set. So I want to link these up. Now I want to use a simpler font. So yeah, I can just use Arial for this one. And I again forgot to change the coloring here. See, we can use that as a white or maybe light gray. And I want this left aligned. And I want to make it a little bit smaller. Not that much smaller. So what I have here now is what I intend to use for a navigation bar. So now I can put in some navigation links so we can jump between the maps. Let me just go to Tools, Hyperlinks, Link with Map. And now my maps are here. The mall is this one. Peaceful Mall. This works best if all the maps are in the same folder. This has to do with the parts Campaign Cartographer needs to put into the links. We can actually have a quick look at this part. Oops. This is a macro command, load map, for loading a map. And this $sign means that it tries to load a map that is in the same folder. And this is very good if we're moving the map around a lot. If it wasn't in the same folder, let's just make a quick example of that. I'm going to do links, link with map, and I'm gonna link with something somewhere else on my computer. For example, one of the welcome maps. Well, actually, I'm not going to use the welcome maps. Do I have anything? There's a special reason for that without I'm going to. But anything inside the data folder can also be linked very easily. That's why I wanted to avoid that when I'm making an example. I can just cheat a little bit quickly. I'm gonna go to my maps folder. I'm gonna pick a map. I'm gonna put it on desktop like that, and I can pick it, open, and I'm just gonna draw it outside here. Now, if you look at the path, you can see that now the command references C users Monson desktop cemetery stream. Okay, what happens if I move these maps around to another computer, to another folder somewhere else? Well, this link is going to break because the map is no longer at that place. Well, this link will never break as long as you move the maps together. And if they are in the same folder in the beginning, they will stay in the same folder. Just like that. So this link will never break as long as you move both maps at the same time to the new location. And keep them together, obviously. If you split them up, then you will have the problem. Okay, so we have linked them all. I'm actually going to add a link for this map as well. So tools, hyperlinks, link with map. And some people might ask, why do I bother linking to the map I'm already working in? Do I need to go to this map? Well, not really, but I'm actually just going to take that navigation bar and copy it wholesale to another map. And by having the links to all the maps means that when I copy it, everything is in place, instead of having to keep adding, well, okay, this came from that map, so I need to add the link back to that map. Now it's complete, and that link doesn't hurt anything. Well, you might say it does hurt anything. My map looks really ugly now with all the text over the place and things. But you can always go to View, Hide Hyperlinks, and they disappear. And this is the state when you load a map as well. It will be hidden. And you now see, if I hover over these texts, I can see that my mouse cursor turns into a hand. Let me click on the mall. And voila, it loads the mall map. But oops, now I have a slight little issue because, well, I didn't copy the data I want to put in. So how can I get that from one map to another? Okay, let me go back to the prior map. Now, I like to always show hyperlinks before I copy them, so I know that I see and copy everything I want to copy. And I now go to Edit, Copy. This is a clipboard copy. This copy button here copies inside of the map. But if I go to Edit Copy, I copy it to the clipboard, which means I can paste it into another map. So I'm just gonna select all the entities hiding around here. 5 entities. That sounds like not enough. There should be 2 text entities, 2 links, one box, and 1 heading, actually. I think five entities is... sorry, there should be 5 entities, because these 2 pieces of text, the mall and the sewers, kind of obscured now, was made as one single text entity when I pasted it into the map. So 5 is correct. Yeah, I was just getting worried there a little bit. Now, once I've selected them, I hit do it. And one thing a lot of people forget to do is to look at the command line. Can you read the command line now? It says clipboard origin 00. If I do not finish the command, things are not actually copied. And this is basically where is the origin point of the whatever I'm copying being stored on the clipboard. So I can click now, for example, down in the left corner here. If I wanted it to go in the same place on another map, typically thing you do when all the maps are the same size, I could actually use 0.0, just hit enter by default, and when I pasted it on another map, it would automatically be in the same place in the other map if I just place it at 00, which is an easy place of placing it. But I'm not going to do that in this map, so I'm gonna just manually click here. Now, it's done copying to the clipboard. Again, saving the map, I'm going to the mall. And it should now be on the clipboard. So I go edit, paste, and we can see it's on the clipboard. Now, it's a bit large. That's because this map is much smaller than the other map. So I'm just going to hold down Control and just reduce it. And don't worry about that command text you see. That's still going to be large. But that doesn't matter because that's the text we are hiding anyway. So I think I can just place it down like here, for example. And finish. And again, there's a little bit of sheet issues here. I can move the text down. This is because the entities goes to the same sheet as they were in the original map. Which means that if the sheet order is different in this map, well, then things get below. Quite obviously, really. But sometimes you need to think about these things. Sewers Place also used a font we don't have in this map. I can actually fix that because it's easy to add a font to a map and we're already running long, but what the heck, I can just show it. So what was the font we used here? Actually, I could just see it from the other map. I can go back. If I go info, list on Sewers Place, do it, I can see that this was done with the font Black Knight FLF. That's not part of this map right now, but let me just add it. Click on text specs, more fonts, and you can add fonts from your computer. And yeah, this dialog has a little bit of a issue when you are on a scaled screen. There was a comment in the forum about this exact problem as well. So it should be now. I have some kind of a problem because my memory is sometimes really bad when I start talking. I kind of forget what I was looking for. So I was looking for the Black Knight FLF. And now it's a little bit hard to find the right one, unfortunately. Especially I thought it should be one of these. Yeah, Black Knight FLF, I think. Let's see, it should link in there. I think it should maybe it used a replacement font when I copied. I'm actually going to check that. Yeah, it did. the original font was Goody Medieval. If you copy it to another map, it may change the font if it doesn't find the font. That was the problem. So let's go back, and because I don't think Goody Medieval was, it should be, maybe it just changed it without seeing it. Let's just change it back to Goody Medieval then, and see if that's all that's needed. Yeah, there we go. That was all that was needed. But anyway, you saw how I could add text as well. It was maybe unnecessary here. There was something else going on, but it's also useful to be able to add more font types to the map. So let me save this one, and let me just hide hyperlinks, because again, those are ugly. And now I can go to the sewers and can go to the mall. So that's it. I have made a little sewers map for you. I've shown you a little bit how to link up to these maps. And most importantly of all, we have now found out where the zombies and tentacles came from in that mall map. Or maybe we don't, because the zombies kind of came from this little hole, so maybe we need to explore that hole in the future. Let's see, maybe next time Sue has an exciting dungeon style, we can explore where that hole goes. Find some zombies or something like that. I'm sure that will happen sometimes or later. Or maybe we can just use one of the existing ones like Creepy Crypt or something like that in another stream. So, thank you all for coming and watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my cat and the mapping. And I wish you all a lovely day, night, evening, morning, whatever it might be where you are. So, be seeing you, and happy mapping.